The Constitution of India, Preamble. We, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution.
Hi children, hope you are healthy and happy and sailing in the same boat as we are here in the school. Dear children, life is mostly froth and bubbles. Two things stand like stone: kindness and courage. Kindness in another's problem and courage in your own. Dear children, I wish you a happy new year. May your life be filled with prosperity, health and happiness. Dear children, always keep in your mind these two stones, that is kindness towards others and be courageous for yourself. By saying this, I move on to the session. Today we are going to learn and understand about cell, which we already studied in our previous classes, but still we will be studying in more detail about the cell organelles as well as the cell of prokaryotes as well as eukaryotes. So my dear children, chapter 5, cell, the unit of life. What is cell? It is the fundamental structural and functional unit of all living organisms. Cell was discovered by Robert Hooke. This we already know as we have studied in our previous class. Just it is a recollection of what we studied in our previous classes. Anton von Leeuwenhoek first saw and described a living cell. Robert Brown discovered the nucleus. Now what the cell theory is explaining, we can see. It was proposed by, that is the cell theory was proposed by Matthias Sheldon and Theodore Schwann. So Sheldon and Schwann has proposed cell theory. This is very important. The cell theory states that all living organisms are composed of cells and the products of cells. That is the one point of cell theory. Number 2, all cells arises from pre-existing cells. Sheldon examined plant cells. Rudolf Virchow first explained that cells divide and new cells are formed from pre-existing cells. I think my dear children, I don't want to explain you all this thing as you may be knowing about it. As I told you, you would have studied in your previous classes. So that is related to the cell theory. And next one is an overview of cell. When an onion cell has taken and as onion cell which is being taken there, we can use this onion cell for studying the plant cell, and human cheek cell we can use to study the animal cell. So when onion cell has taken and when it is being studied under the microscope. Plant cell was able to, we are able to know what is plant cell, and when human cheek cell was studied under microscope, we were able to know about animal cell. In plant cell, cell wall is present, whereas in animal cell, cell wall is absent. Inside each cell, a membrane bound structure, that is nucleus, is present. The nucleus contains chromosome, and the chromosome contains DNA, and we already know DNA contains genes, and genes are the hereditary factors which are transferred from one organism to another organism. We can say one generation to another generation. You can see the structure of a typical cell. This is animal cell and this is plant cell. In the case of plant cell, cell wall is present, but in the case of animal cell, it is absent. In the case of animal cell, centriole are present, but it is absent in plant cell. In the case of plant cell, chloroplast is present, it is absent in animal cell. So, these are the three things which are there where we can differentiate animal cell and plant cell, and remaining other things all are present there in plant cell as well as animal cell. The structure already you are knowing, my dear children. Now, next part we can see, we are going to understand about the cell. A semi-fluid matrix called cytoplasm is present there in plant cell as well as animal cell. Cell contain other membrane bound structure called cell organelles. Inside the cytoplasm we have seen just now mitochondria, Golgi complex, endoplasmic reticulum, vacuole, centriole, chloroplast, isn't it? All these are the cell membranes, cell organelles which are present there in the cell. We can see the cell organelles once again. They are endoplasmic reticulum, which is also known as ER, Golgi complex, which is also known as Golgi apparatus, mitochondria, vacuole, plastids which are present only in plants, and ribosome. They are non-membrane bound organelles. Non-membrane bound organelles means they do not have membrane. Animal cell contain another non-membrane bound organelle which is called centriole, and the centriole helps in cell division. It is again important. Now, cells differ from each other in their size and shape and function. We know that plant cell, animal cell is there, and there are many other cells which are present there in the, from microorganisms to the human being, isn't it? So, in the case of cell which is present there in all the organisms, they differ from each other in their size, shape and function. We can see here RBC, it is round in shape and it is biconcave. WBC, it is amoeboid in shape. You can see here epithelial cells are there which are long and narrow. This is a nerve cell which is branched and long. This is a trachea, isn't it, which is elongated, and this is mesophyll cell which is round and oval. So, these are certain cells which are showing different shapes of the cell. This is very, very important, my dear children. Now, next thing we can see again, mycoplasma are the smallest cell. Egg of an ostrich is the largest isolated single cell. Nerve cells are the longest cell. This is again very, very important. So, this is just an overview of the cell. Now, we are going to learn and understand about prokaryote, or we can say prokaryotic cells. They are smaller, cells have cell wall, cytoplasm is present. Prokaryotes lack membrane bound organelles. That is, in the case of prokaryotes, we know that what are prokaryotes? Prokaryotes are the organisms which do not have true nucleus in them. In them, they do not have membrane bound organelles. That is, the organelles are present there, but they do not have any membrane. Okay, the outer layer is absent in them. Only ribosomes are found. Mesosomes, it is very, very important. They are infoldings of cell membrane. What are mesosomes? They are the infoldings. In the cell membrane, we can see infoldings. Those infoldings are mesosomes. They are also present there in prokaryotic cell. No well-defined nucleus. Well-defined nucleus is not present there. The genetic material is naked. That is, it doesn't have any cell membrane. The genetic material is of two types, DNA and plasmids. We know what are plasmids. It is a small extra chromosomal circular DNA present in bacterial cell. So, bacterial cell is an example of prokaryotic cell in which we can see DNA, the normal DNA as well as plasmids. Now, we can understand about the cell envelope and its modification related to prokaryotic cell. My dear children, I think you would have understood till now what I have taken. It's very simple chapter. If you are learning, understanding and studying it, surely you will be understanding it very clearly. So, cell envelope and its modification related to prokaryotic cell. In prokaryotic cell, the cell envelope consists of three layers. One is glycocalyx, it is the outermost layer, and loose sheeted glycocalyx is called slime layer. In certain cells, the glycocalyx, which is the outermost layer, it is seen in the form of a sheet which is loosely packed. If such kind of loosely packed sheet of glycocalyx is present, it is called slime layer. That is important. Now, next one we can see in certain organisms, we can see glycocalyx as thick and tough and is called capsule. In certain organism, glycocalyx is seen in the form of thick and tough membrane and it is called capsule. Now, you can see here the structure of a bacteria where you can see capsule or slime layer, isn't it? This is capsule or slime layer which is also known as glycocalyx. If the glycocalyx is thick or tough, it is called capsule. If the glycocalyx is seen as a loosely formed sheet, it is called slime layer. Cell wall is present there, plasma membrane is present there, cytosol means cytoplasm. You can see here this is the plasmid, the DNA you can see here, isn't it? Next, food granules, ribosome, pili, chromosome is present there, isn't it? Pili, you can see this is the locomotory appendages, pili are locomotory appendages, and here you can see this is the flagellum which is also a locomotory appendages. So, this is about glycocalyx. Now, we can come to the next part, number 2. Second layer is cell wall, it is the middle layer and it determines the shape of the cell. Number 3rd layer is plasma membrane, innermost layer, it is semi-permeable, structurally similar to that of eukaryotes. In the eukaryotes, how the plasma membrane is seen, like that only we can see the plasma membrane in the case of prokaryotic cell. Now, gram staining. What is gram staining? It is a technique used to stain bacteria. For staining bacteria, there is a technique and that is called gram staining. Now, based on gram staining, bacteria are of two types, gram-positive bacteria. These bacteria take up gram stain by its envelope. When the bacteria, when they are taking up gram stain, they will be showing that color. Those bacteria are called gram-positive bacteria. It is again important. And number 2 is gram-negative bacteria. These bacteria do not take up gram stain by its envelope. They are not able to take the stain, so they are gram-negative bacteria. So, that is related to gram staining in the case of prokaryotic cells. Now, we are going to study about mesosomes, which is very again important. It is a structure formed by the extension of plasma membrane into the cell. You can see here, this is the extension, this is the plasma membrane which is extended into the cell. In the cytoplasm, it has been extended. This structure which is formed here, which is the extension of plasma membrane, is called mesosome. I think would have, this is plasma membrane. You can see this yellow color is plasma membrane, and this plasma membrane has extended into the cell. This infolding or this type of structure which is seen there is called mesosome. I think you would have understood about mesosome, my dear children. These extensions are in the form of vesicles, tubules and lamellae. These extension which we have seen, which we are seeing in the cell, they are in the form of the mesosomes. They are seen in the cell in the form of vesicles, tubules as well as lamellae. Now, the function of these mesosomes we can see, it helps in cell wall formation, it helps in respiration of DNA during cell division, it helps in respiration and secretion, it increases the surface area of the plasma membrane. So, these are the functions of mesosome, which is again very important, my dear children. You have to understand what is mesosome and what are its function. Now, the next part related to prokaryotic cell is flagella. These are fine filamentous extension from the cell wall found in the motile bacteria. What do you mean by motile? Motile means the bacteria which are able to move from one place to another place. In them we can see a fine filamentous extension. Filamentous means hair-like structure we can see, or an extension from the cell wall we can see in the case of the motile bacterium, and these extensions are formed from the cell wall, that is called flagella, and it is composed of three parts. Flagella is composed of three parts: filament, hook and basal body. Again it is important. What is filament? It is the longest portion. This is filament. You can see this one. This is filament. Hook. It is the curved and tubular structure. You can see the hook, this one, curved and tubular structure. And number 3 is basal body. It is embedded in the plasma membrane. This is basal body which is present. This is plasma membrane, and inside the plasma membrane we can see this is the basal body. So, basal body, hook and filament forms the flagella. The flagella of prokaryotic cell, or we can say the flagella of a bacterial cell, it consists of three parts: filament, hook and the basal body. I think you would have understood about the three parts of flagella seen in prokaryotic cell. This is very important. And the fourth part is fimbria and pili. Fimbria and pili, you can see many gram-negative bacteria contain hair-like appendages that are shorter, straighter and thinner than flagella. So, it has been said that there are certain hair-like appendages seen in the gram-negative bacteria which are very shorter, which are straight and which are thinner than flagella. These appendages are fimbriae and pili. We can see they are used for attachment and transfer of DNA rather than for motility. Flagella are used for motility, that is for mobility, that is for moving from one place to another place, but rather than motility, fimbria and pili, they are used to transfer the DNA from one bacterial cell to another bacterial cell. These structures which consist of a protein called pillin arranged helically around the central core and are divided into two types: fimbriae and pili, having very different functions. Fimbria and pili we can see which is having different functions. What is fimbria? It is bristle like, present in multiple numbers and adhere to host tissue, isn't it? So, this is fimbria which is bristle like. You know what is bristle? It's brush shape, isn't it? Very sharp, and they are present in multiple numbers, that is they are seen numerously. Lot of fimbriae we can see in the bacterial cell, and they help to adhere to the host tissue. The bacteria, when it is been attaching to the host tissue, Fimbria is helping the bacteria to attach to the host tissue. And what is pili? So you can see here this one, the red color portion, this is pili, and it is also bristle like. It is longer than Fimbriae. Longer than Fimbriae. You can see the length of the pili as well as the Fimbriae. Now present singly or in pairs, they are seen only as one or in the form of pairs. Adhere to another bacterium during DNA transfer. When DNA transfer is taking place from one bacterium to another bacterium, these pili are helping them to attach the two cells, isn't it? The attachment of the two cells has been taking place there due to the pili, and this attachment is taking place when the transfer of DNA is taking place between the two bacterial cells. I think you would have understood about Fimbriae as well as pili. My dear children, it is very, very important. You have to study. Now next part or the next organelle is ribosome. These are membrane-less cell organelles, that is they do not have membrane. These are the only cell organelles found in both prokaryotics as well as eukaryotic cell. In prokaryotes, they are associated with plasma membrane. They are made up of RNA and protein. Prokaryotic ribosomes are 70S. This S stands for the unit and sedimentary unit. So in the case of prokaryotic, the ribosomes are seen as 70S type, and they are composed of 50S and 30S. The 70S is having two subunit, one is 50S, the other one is the 30S subunit. Now you can see here the function of ribosome. It is helping in protein synthesis, and there are ribosomes which are also called polysomes or polyribosomes. Again, it is very, very important. A single mRNA attaches with a group of ribosome to form a polysome. When a group of ribosome is present there, and with that if a single mRNA is attaching, that is called polysome or polyribosome. You can see here, this is polysome. You can see here, this is mRNA. This is single mRNA is there with the numerous ribosomes present here. These are the numerous ribosomes present, and with that a single mRNA is attaching there. This type of structure is called polysome or polyribosome. And here we can see prokaryotic ribosome. Already I told it is 70S. S stands for the sedimentation coefficient which related to ribosome. And in the case of 70S ribosome, you can see here one is 50S, the other one is 30S. In the case of 50S, this is the biggest ribosome subunit, and in the case of 30S, this is the smallest subunit. In the case of eukaryotic ribosome, it is made up of 80S, where this is 60S and this is 40S subunits. These subunits, when they combine together, then only we can say it as 80S. In this case also, when 50 and 30, when it combines together, then only it becomes 70S. So that is related to the ribosome of prokaryotic as well as eukaryotic cell. Now the next organelle present in the prokaryotic cell is inclusion bodies. These are storage granules which stores reserve materials. They are the storage granules and they are storing reserve materials. Example, number 1, phosphate granule, glycogen granule, etc. Number 2, gas vacuoles are found in blue green and purple green photosynthetic bacteria. So these are the certain examples related to the inclusion bodies which are present in the bacteria. So that is related to, my dear children, prokaryotic cell. Now we are going to learn and understand about eukaryotic cell. They possess organized nucleus with nuclear envelope. As we know, eukaryotic means true nucleus. So in the cell, when a true nucleus is present, surely we can say those cells are eukaryotic cells. In them, membrane bound organelles are present. we can see the structure of eukaryotic cell. The different parts of eukaryotic cells are cell membrane, cell wall, endomembrane system, mitochondria, plastids, isn't it? And ribosome, cytoskeleton as well as nucleus. So, these are the parts of the cell organelles, or we can say these are the parts present in the eukaryotic cell, and you can see the structure of the animal cell here, where you can see centriole, structures that occur in animal cell but not in plant cell. Centrioles are present only in animal cells, they are not present in plant cell. This is nuclear envelope, nucleolus and chromosome together constitute the nucleus. Nucleolus, chromosome and nuclear envelope together it constitute the nucleus. And here again you can see rough endoplasmic reticulum is of two type, rough endoplasmic reticulum as well as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. From the name itself we can say, when ribosome is present on the endoplasmic reticulum, it is called rough endoplasmic reticulum, and when ribosome is not present on the endoplasmic reticulum, we can say it is as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So, here you can see rough, this is the rough endoplasmic reticulum, isn't it? Rough endoplasmic reticulum, and you can see here the smooth endoplasmic reticulum has here no ribosomes are present there. This yellow dots are ribosomes. Okay. So, here you can see ribosomes are present on the endoplasmic reticulum, but here no ribosomes are present there. Therefore, it is called smooth endoplasmic reticulum. Here Golgi apparatus is present there, lysosome is present there, peroxisome is present there, ribosome is present there, mitochondria is there, cytoskeletal elements are there, plasma membrane is present there. So, this is the structure of a typical eukaryotic cell. Now, the first part of the eukaryotic cell is cell membrane. The boundary of the cytoplasm is called cell membrane. Cell membrane is formed of lipid and protein. The cell membrane of eukaryotic cell is made up of lipid and protein. In the case of lipid, we can see lipid consists of phosphoglyceraldehyde and it forms bilayer. Bilayer means it is forming two layers, and these lipids they are having phosphoglyceraldehyde, and phospholipid consists of two ends. One is the spherical polar head, and this spherical polar head is hydrophilic in nature. Hydrophilic means they are water loving and it lies towards the outer side. So, the spherical polar head, we can say the phospholipid, which is having the two ends in which the spherical polar head, they are seen towards the outer part of the cell, and they are associated with proteins, and they are associated or they are having proteins. The second one is the non-polar tail. It is hydrophobic. Phobic means hatred. So, they don't love water. They hate water. They lie towards the inner side of the cell. They are lying towards. So, these non-polar tails, they are towards the inner side of the cell, and they face each other. They face each other. You can see this is the structure of a cell membrane, where you can see this is cell membrane. Inside of the cell, this is the cytoplasm. You can see here this is the protein channel. These are protein. Okay. And here this is the carbohydrate chains, and I told you lipid bilayer, isn't it? You can see the lipid bilayer. They are, see, this is non-polar tail and this one is the spherical head, isn't it? Spherical, I told you this is spherical polar head. So, this is the spherical polar head and this one is the non-polar tail. The non-polar tail, they are facing towards each other and they are towards the inner side, inside. These tails, they are inside and the head is facing outside, isn't it? So, this is how lipid layer is being distributed in the cell membrane. Now, number 2 is related to the proteins present in the cell membrane. Proteins are of two types. Number 1 is peripheral proteins, which are also known as extrinsic protein. They lie on the surface of the membrane. This peripheral, from the name itself, peripheral means on the surface. So these proteins, they are seen on the surface of the cell membrane. Number 2 is integral protein or intrinsic protein. These are partially or totally buried in the molecule. Already we have seen integral protein, isn't it? They are seen partially or totally, they are inside the cell. See, these are the proteins which are partially seen. So these proteins, they are the integral protein. Okay, my dear children. So that is related to the integral protein. And next part is related to again cell membrane, fluid mosaic model of cell membrane. And this was proposed by S. J. Singer and G. L. Nicholson in 1972. Cell membrane is in the form of a fluid mosaic. It was being proposed by these two scientists, Singer and Nicholson, in 1972. And according to them, the membrane is a quasi-fluid, that is, it is a semi-fluid structure. The cell membrane is in the form of a semi-fluid structure. In this structure, the lipid bilayer forms a continuous layer. In this semi-fluid cell membrane structure, as lipid bilayer is present there and it is forming a continuous layer there, and the proteins which are present there, they are present scatteredly, that is, they are scattered. They are seen on the cell membrane in the form, not in a uniform manner, but they are scattered there throughout the membrane in an irregular manner. They are not in a uniform manner, but they are irregularly distributed in the cell membrane. The semi-fluid nature of lipids enable lateral movement of the protein within the overall bilayer. As the lipid is having a semi-fluid nature, because of that the proteins are able to move throughout the bilayer. Now, fluid mosaic model can explain cell growth, formation of intercellular junctions, secretions and cell division. So, through fluid mosaic model, one can understand the cell growth, the formation of the intercellular junctions as well as secretions as well as cell division. So, my dear children, you can see this is the structure of a fluid mosaic model, where this is the exterior part and this is the interior part. As I told you, two types of proteins are there. Peripheral proteins, they are seen on the periphery, and you can see this is the integral protein which is seen completely in the molecule. As you can see here, this is the hydrophilic region, this is the hydrophobic region, again hydrophilic region, like that it will be moving on, isn't it? So, that is all related to the fluid mosaic model, which is very important, my dear children. You have to understand this structure very nicely, as it used to come in the question paper. It is very easy, my dear children, you can understand it. Next part is the functions of cell membrane. It helps to transport molecules across the cell. Molecules will move by two methods. It is helping to transport molecules across the cell, but the movement is being done by two methods, passive movement as well as active movement. Passive movement means molecules can move across the membrane without the expenditure or the requirement of energy, and they move from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. That is, the movement of molecule is taking place from the higher concentration level to the lower concentration level. That is, the abundance of molecule will be present in one area. From there, the molecule will be moving to the area where there is very less presence of molecule present there. So, in that manner, the molecules are moving from one area to another area, and such type of movement is known as passive transport. Next part, passive transport mainly involves osmosis and diffusion. Number 2, active transport. Ions are transported across the membrane against the concentration gradient, that is from lower to higher concentration. The ions which are present there in the cell membrane will be transported from one place to another place, and this movement is taking place from lower concentration to the higher concentration, and when such type of movement is taking place, that time the expenditure of energy is needed there, or they are depending on the energy, and that is in the form of ATP. This ATP is utilized there for the transportation of ions from lower concentration to the higher concentration. Okay, my dear children. Now, this number 2 part of the eukaryotic cell is cell wall, the outermost non-living rigid boundary of cells. The plant cell wall is differentiated into 3 layers: middle lamella, primary cell wall, secondary cell wall. What is middle lamella? We can see it is a thin layer between 2 adjacent cells. Between 2 cells a thin layer is formed there, and that is called middle lamella, and it is composed of calcium and magnesium pectate. This middle lamella is made up of calcium and magnesium pectate. And what is primary cell wall? It is a true cell wall. It lies inner to the middle lamella, and it is made up of cellulose. And what is secondary cell wall? It is found inner to the primary cell wall. It is thick and rigid. It is composed of hemicellulose, lignin in the case of xylem, and suberin in the case of cork, tannin or wax. So, these are the parts seen in the cell wall. Primary cell wall is there, middle lamella is there, and secondary cell wall is there. So, the outermost is the middle lamella, which is seen between the 2 cell wall, and inner to is primary cell wall, and inner to the primary cell wall is the secondary cell wall. This is again, my dear children, important. You have to understand it. Now, we can see the function of cell wall. It gives rigidity and support to the tissues and organs of the plant body. It gives shape to the cell. It protects the cell from mechanical damage and infection. It helps in cell to cell interaction. So, that is related to the function of cell wall. I think it is very easy to understand about the function of cell wall. Now, the next part is plasmodesmata. The adjacent cells are connected through fine strands of cytoplasm through fine pores in the cell wall. In the cell wall there are pores, and these pores, they are connected to each other through a fine strand of cytoplasm, and these strands are called plasmodesmata. The strands which are connecting 2 cells together through a pore, that is called plasmodesmata. My dear children, I think you would have understood about plasmodesmata. And next part is endomembrane system of eukaryotic cell. This part is very important, my dear children. It includes endoplasmic reticulum, which is called ER, Golgi complex, lysosome and vacuole. Endoplasmic reticulum, they are present only in eukaryotes. Eukaryotes, endoplasmic reticulum is composed of 3 types of structures: cisternae, which is flattened sac-like structure. Cisternae is a flattened sac-like structure. Tubule, it is a tube-like structures, and vesicles, it is round or oval structures. So, we can see the 3 types of endoplasmic reticulum in the form of cisternae, in the form of vesicle, in the form of tubules, isn't it? You can see here, these are the tubules, this is the vesicle, and here you can see cisternae in the form of sac-like structures. Cisternae is there, this is ribosome, this is rough endoplasmic reticulum, isn't it? And this one is the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So, I think you would have understood about the parts or the forms of endoplasmic reticulum as cisternae, tubules and vesicles. So, my dear children, you have to understand and you have to learn it. It is very important. Now, based on the presence or absence of ribosome on the surface ER, that is endoplasmic reticulum, is of two types. RER, which is all known as rough endoplasmic reticulum, and number 2 SER, which is known as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. We can see the rough endoplasmic reticulum is covered with ribosomes, and ribosomes are protein making machines, already we know about it. And you can see this is the structure of smooth endoplasmic reticulum because it has no ribosomes on its surface. This is ribosome, rough endoplasmic reticulum. Here ribosomes are absent, therefore it is smooth endoplasmic reticulum. You can see the function of RER. Modifies proteins that will be shipped to other locations in the endomembrane system, the cell surface or outside the cell. As ribosomes are present there, surely they are involved in protein synthesis. In the case of smooth endoplasmic reticulum, they synthesize lipids such as fatty acid, phospholipids and steroids. Detoxifies molecules such as alcohol, drugs and metabolic waste products. So, this is the function of smooth endoplasmic reticulum and this is the function of rough endoplasmic reticulum. I think, my dear children, you would have understood about the difference between rough endoplasmic reticulum as well as smooth endoplasmic reticulum. It is very, very important. You have to go through the structure also. And now the last part related to the function of endoplasmic reticulum helps in intracellular transport. Intracellular transport means inside the cell the transportation of materials are taking place and that is being done with the help of endoplasmic reticulum. Help in the formation of middle lamella and nuclear membrane. The nuclear membrane and middle lamella which is formed there, that is formed with the help of endoplasmic reticulum. It helps in synthesis of enzymes also. Certain enzymes are present there and these enzymes which are present there in the cell are formed or it is being synthesized with the help of endoplasmic reticulum. My dear children, with this again smooth endoplasmic reticulum function is there as well as rough endoplasmic reticulum function is also there. That also we have to include here in the function of endoplasmic reticulum. So, my dear children, I think you would have understood about the function of endoplasmic reticulum. Now, here I wind the session and I think you would have understood the topic very nicely because already we know about cell and its cell organelles. So, my dear children, if you are going little bit deep into the topic, you will be able to understand it more nicely. It's very, very interesting chapter. Go through it, understand it and learn it. It is very, very important chapter according to the examination also. Go through the figures also. My dear children, by saying this, I wind the session here. We will be meeting in the next session. Till then, take care.